have the pleasure of speaking with Marge Cook at Custom Accounting Services. And this interview is about giving our audience an insider view on you and your firm. Marge, how are you doing today?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm so excited to be talking with you. I know we've been having a couple of calls together. I'm excited to have you in the spotlight today. So before we get into the interview, I wanted to start out by giving the audience some background as to who you are and why you do what you do. So could you give us an overview of your business and what led you to start Custom Accounting Services?
Sure. Basically, it started throughout my career. I worked for two different corporations over several years, and both of those corporations are very, very successful. And the odd part is they're very similar in the reason why they are successful. So when I finally decided to start my own business, what I thought is I want to take everything that I learned from these two companies, and I would like to offer that to several small businesses. And, I was trying to figure out, okay, what is the best route to do that? And I felt going into the accounting field is where I would be able to help as many small businesses as possible. And it's worked very successfully. I'm very happy over the years of what I've been able to accomplish with them. And then I realized that there was one thing missing though. I was helping small businesses that started out, and I was helping small businesses that needed some help for future planning. But the part that I was missing is I wasn't helping individuals or businesses that had a tough time in their life in the past. And what happened in that tough time is they got behind with taxes, and when they get behind on taxes, it affects quite a few areas of their life. So that's when I decided that I need to get into tax resolution and add that as my service so that I can help people no matter where they are in their life.
Wow, I love that. I love how it kind of just evolved that way too, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was kind of like a stepping stone process.
Very nice, very nice. Well, what makes working with you different than one of the big box tax resolution brands that you hear about on the radio all the time?
From the feedback that I get from my clients, the biggest thing that they tell me is that that communication and really knowing them. The first step I take is I want to get to know them. What's going on in their life? Do they have kids? Do they have kids in college? What kind of history? What kind of things have they dealt with health-wise? Things like that. And when you create that bond, you really have an understanding of where they've been and what kind of goals they have. And then what that goes into is a lot better communication because we communicate on a regular basis, whether it's about me checking in and saying, hey, how are things going in your life right now? Or me checking in and saying, I just want to give you an update where we're at with your tax resolution. Either way, we're keeping in contact with each other, and it just gives them a feeling of peace of mind. And that's where I think a smaller firm can help them a lot more than a big box, because a big box, they work with a lot of clients and they're not going to be able to take that one-on-one time with them.
Yeah, that personal approach is huge, I think. Well, just for my personality, that goes a long way with me. And I know that I can't be the only one who thinks that way. So I love that. You're almost consultating. You're not just treating it like a transaction. It's like a partnership.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the way I look at it. I'm going to be their partner, and I'm going to stand by them the whole way.
I love that. I love that. So what pitfalls do you see when taxpayers try to handle the tax authorities on their own?
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thing is the majority of people, they think there's one thing to do, and that's an installment agreement. And it is a very common one, and a lot of people do that. But what they don't realize is there's a lot of other opportunities out there, and that might not be the right one for them. It could be, but there's a possibility it's not. They take the chance of it getting denied over time. Or on the opposite side of it is maybe they get accepted, but that might have been the wrong solution for them. They might have something that could help them out a lot better than just an installment agreement.
Got it. Perfect. Now, there's some changes going on in the industry, as we all know. What do you see as the biggest changes that we're seeing in the industry, in your opinion?
The biggest change is how the IRS is really trying to give people a fresh start. A few years ago, they only had one or two opportunities, and unfortunately, what happened with that is it gave a select few that were eligible for those. But anybody who wasn't eligible, then they were just kind of left behind. There was no resolution for them. The IRS identified this and they said, you know what, we need to give more solutions for different types of people in different types of situations. So that's what they did. They expanded it, and now they have a lot of different avenues we can go down and try to fit it to the right person. And that way, overall, there's going to be a lot more people helped.
I love that take on it, where it's not so bad. A lot of people don't like change, but you can actually see it as a positive thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good thing.
Yeah, great. The last question I want to ask you is tell us about a significant client or event from your career or time in business.
I have one that really stands out. The majority are pretty similar. They come to me and they all have text at different reasons why, but they do. And the majority of them have come because they say they've tried so many different other accounting firms and they just can't find one that's willing to help them. But one in particular I had actually had a few different things that he did. He was a business owner for many years, owned his own business, and was in trouble with the Wisconsin Department of Revenue for sales tax. And whatever ended up happening to him is at the point he came to me, he was having to take only cash transactions because if he put any checks in his business bank account, it instantly got pulled out for the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. Now he wanted to pay his debt, but unfortunately the situation it put him in is he was taking all his money, going to debt with the garnishment, and he had no money to be able to pay his vendors for the cost of goods. So it was really hurting his business. And the way he looked at it is if I can't pay my bills and my business shuts down, how will I pay the Wisconsin Department of Revenue? So he went to the big box that's advertised, and they said they were going to help him. They charged him the usual fee, and it was about a year later. And at that point, he said he was no further along. There was no resolution, and he said it had been months and months since he had been communicated to him. So then he started looking at other accounting firms and also lawyers. And everyone he looked at had turned him down. They said it's just not something that they get involved with because it's such a long process and there's a lot of work to do with it. So when he found me, he was just by talking to me and knowing that I was going to stay beside him, he said it was just a huge relief off his shoulders. So I took over all the communication, was helping him with Wisconsin Department of Revenue, set up payment plans. I got the garnishment taken off. So he finally, after years of trying to get it fixed, he was finally able to fix it after going through quite a few different avenues.
Wow, what an awesome success story. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Well, that wraps up our spotlight interview today. Thank you so much for your time, Marge. I really appreciate it. It was fun learning about your firm, and I hope this video gives others some insight about what you do, who you are at Custom Accounting Services. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. I enjoyed the time with you.
My pleasure.